Hello, I'm Samanta Sedda, European Project Designer and European Project Manager at Mine Vaganti NGO. Welcome to the second class of our basic course of European Project Management. So today we will see together the life cycle of a project. So from the project design to the project implementation phase in case of approval. First thing first, in order to be able to apply for a project, you should register yourself. So based on the project you would like to apply, there are different platforms for registration. So if you would like to apply for a project that is managed directly from an entity of the European Commission, there is the Funding and Tenders Opportunities portal. You register your entity and then you will receive the participative identification code, so the PIC number. Then, if you would like to apply for a project that is managed by a national agency, you register your entity through the organization registration system for Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps, and you will receive the organization ID. Once you're registered, then we can get started. So the first thing that you should do is to define your project idea. Then there are a lot of tools that you can use to define your project ideas based online or even the paper one. Some examples are the idea frame tools like Naomi or the mind map tools like Miro. Then when you have your project idea defined, you will basically elaborate an abstract of your project idea. The next step is to find, of course, the right call. So there are specific platforms depending on the type of project that you would like to apply. So if it's a centralized action, so managed by one of the entities of the European Commission, or if it's a decentralized action managed by the national agency. So as I told you, there are specific platforms in which you can check which are the open calls, check all the informations, all the requirements and criteria, and all the documents that you should annex to your project proposal in order to submit it. So once you have individualized the call that is matching your project idea, it is time to search for your partners. So this is a really important step. There are a lot of official platforms in which you can search for your potential partners based on their geographical location and their expertise. Keep in mind that for some project proposals, it's really important that the consortium of partners is balanced geographically. Then, when you receive a certain amount of candidatures, it is time to decide which will be your official partners in the consortium. It's not really easy to choose, but you need to keep in mind that in each project, the consortium of partners receive a specific evaluation. So it's really important that you find entities that are really expert related to the idea and topics that you're addressing through your project. Because of course, if the consortium of partners is not evaluated competent enough to implement that project idea, the proposal will not be approved. Okay, so now we have individualized our call, we have an abstract of our idea, we individualized our potential partners, we officialize everything, and we have our consortium. So it's time to further develop our project idea. So based on the call, you will apply for a specific online form in which you will find the application form for the project, or you need to fill out simply a Word document with all the boxes of the project proposal. Plus, there are some compulsory documents, as I was saying, they should be sent with the project proposal as annexes. And they are formal documents. So if you will send your project proposal without these documents, the project idea will not even be evaluated. So you need to really pay attention to this. Okay, so when we are writing a project, we should focus on some important aspects. First thing first, of course, there is the analysis of the context and then the individualization of specific needs that we would like to address through our project idea. Because you should create a base. So a project idea, of course, should be related to a context, to specific needs that we will address through our project. Then, of course, you should clearly explain what is the aim of your project idea, and then to list and clearly set your specific objectives. Each project idea is related to a target group or a number of specific target groups. So it's really important that you clearly state in your project idea which are your direct target groups. So those that will be really involved in the project, and which are the final target groups. So the final beneficiaries of all the products and impact and activities that you will achieve through your project idea. Then, regarding activities and outputs, let's say that they are the core of your project idea. So the activities can be related to the development of your outputs, or can be the testing phase of your outputs. So you should clearly explain all the steps, especially because when the evaluator is reading your project idea, he or she should be able to clearly understand what you want to do, with who and why. And also the involvement that each partner has in the project. So for all the steps and, let's say, the sub-tasks and activities that should be done, of course, there should be one of the entities that is part of the consortium in charge of it. Then lastly, we have the impact. Of course, you should be able to clearly explain what is the impact that you will achieve for your project based on the activities and outputs that you are developing in the project idea, and also to explain the impact at different levels. So it's not only a matter of the impact that you will achieve at European level, but also on the countries that are involved in the consortium, and also in the, let's say, the micro realities like the local and the regional. Okay. But how to do this? So if you're a beginner, there are a lot of tools and instruments that you can use online or paper-based. So you can use the problem trees and objective trees, the SWOT analysis in the first phase, so to analyze and to collect data. Then we have the logical framework that will help you a little bit to structure your project idea. Then we have the work plan and the Gantt chart that will integrate the structure of the proposal. So these tools are made for helping you when you're writing the proposal. So to really keep in mind everything and not missing some parts or aspects that I was illustrating to you earlier, and to write a good project proposal. And of course, not to get lost while you're doing it. Okay, perfect. So this is the first part, that is the project design. And then, of course, you apply your project. And now let's see what will happen if the project will get approved. So in case of approval, if you're the applicant entity, you will sign a convention paper with the entity that is financing your project. So this is the first step. And then the second step, of course, is to create some bilateral agreements, documents between you as applicant and, of course, your partners. So you already basically decide what will be the responsibilities and tasks during the design of the proposal, but now that is approved, you need an official document that is stating what is the role and responsibility of everybody. So the project implementation phase is divided in some stages. So there are stages that are happening on the overall duration of the project, like the project management and the monitoring and quality control, because you need to check all the stages of the project implementation. because keep in mind that there is always the reporting part. We will see it later. So you should really have the monitoring documents for all the activities, all the tasks that you're implementing in the project, and also those regarding the cooperation among partners. So regarding the performance of the tasks, they are basically listed in the bilateral agreements, and all the partners should implement it based on the Gantt chart that you applied with the project. So there are different periods, different entities in charge, different tasks to be done. So there is always someone that, of course, is leading that specific period. And above all, of course, there is always the applicant organization that is checking all the processes in order to keep the time management. Then regarding the development of the outputs, as I was saying, there is always one entity in charge. There are different tasks to achieve the objectives. And through the development of the outputs and the implementation of the activities, you will basically achieve the 80% of your project idea. And in this case, the dissemination is really, really necessary and important. Even if here is listed as the last one, it's really important that you're doing that you're disseminating your project during the overall implementation. So it's important to share with people what you're doing, that you're engaged in what you're doing, the results that you achieved. It can be like the short-term or long-term results, but it's really important to involve people. It can be the general public, of course, but also you should prepare something specific for the stakeholders, so for the entities that are working in the specific sector that you applied your project idea. So all these things actually are really interconnected. So you should combine them in order to have a successful implementation. And now we arrived at the end, the reporting. So at the end of the project, of the project life, the applicant is should submit a final report, and of course all the partners should cooperate in order to submit it to the entity that is managing the grants. But in some type of project, you also have an interim evaluation report. So after 1 year or 2 years, depending on the period of project implementation, let's say in the middle of the project, you're asking to do an interim report. Then, so the entity that managing the funds will check on you. So it is for this purpose that I told you previously that it's really, really important and necessary to keep track of all the things that you're doing during the project implementation. Okay, so this is the part of the implementation of a project proposal when it's getting approved. So I hope that this let's say, second session of our basic course was really interesting. And if you would like to learn more and to test your abilities or to improve your competencies in writing project or managing project, we also have the advanced courses, one for the project design and one for the project implementation, in case you just got your project approved, for example, and you would like to improve and go through an upskilling process. So thank you very much for your attention, and have a nice day.